Us on the I Love CVille Show. It's great to be with you on the last day of the week, the last day in the first week of April. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. It's a show where you, the viewer and listener, we encourage you to send us content that you think is well suited for our talk show. Judah and I want to be the water cooler of conversation here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We want to crowdsource information that is important and relay it to you. And I think you have now realized that the local legacy media, old media, is watching this program for content for their news broadcasts and their print runs. A great example of that is the news that we broke earlier in the week. Did you see it, Judah? The Dogwood Parade canceled. We talked about that on the I Love CVille Show, earlier this week, last week, and now it's hitting CBS 19, it's hitting NBC 29. They are watching our show, local media, to regurgitate what we say for you, but they're doing it in 15 and 20-second sound bites as opposed to the long-form content that we cover, that we highlight on today's show. I'm going to talk University Physicians Group fighting back. This is just a cat fight. This is a cat fight right now. It's a cat fight in the cafeteria. It's ugly. Hair is being pulled. Eyes are being gouged. He said, she said, that is tarnishing the reputation of the health system. And the only winners out of all of this, the Daily Progress, that is just printing letters from the physicians group, from former board members, from anonymous doctors, and full run. The Daily Progress is getting free content from physicians and airing the dirty laundry of a multi-billion-dollar health system. The only winners. The losers in all this, the branded equity with the health system. The losers of this, the image, character, and respect of the profession in totality. The losers of this, frankly, the patients. Us as patients, because now we're thinking twice, thinking a third time about going there, because are we getting billed correctly? Are they changing our medical charts? What are they doing that's disingenuous? When the reality, a large portion of UVA Health is on the cutting edge of care, some of the top players in their field. But when we second guess, when we have concern, we lose, because then we'll end up at perhaps an inferior healthcare provider. Only winners throughout all this is the Daily Progress, who's getting the free content. Only winners. A lot we're going to cover on today's program, including something that Deep Throat and I have been corresponding about, some carnage and DC real estate, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to highlight Bright MLS data. Bright is the multiple listing service in the DC area, and listings for the last week of March, ladies and gentlemen, the week ending March 30th, year over year, the listings are astronomically uptick in the DC area. How much so uptick? Well, compared to a year ago, we're at just under 30% more active listings in the DC area. We'll pick that apart like Thanksgiving turkey, guys, on the I Love CVille Show today. I'm going to highlight, speaking of real estate, the most expensive listing that's currently on the market in Albemarle County. We'll do that on today's show. We'll compare and contrast Charlottesville, its area median income, to other university towns of similar population. We'll compare and contrast it to Burlington and South Burlington, Vermont, to State College, Pennsylvania. Big ups, Vanessa Parkhill. Your Nittany Lions are getting some love on today's show. To Iowa City, Iowa, home of the University of Iowa. To Fayetteville, Springdale, Rogers, Arkansas, home of the University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks, once led by Nolan Richardson, and the 40 Minutes of Hell basketball that we saw. To Athens and Clark County, Georgia, home to the Georgia Bulldogs. To Columbia, Missouri, home to the University of Missouri. Bloomington, Indiana, home to Indiana University. Harrisonburg, Virginia, JMU. And Deep Throat, am I saying this right? Missoula, Montana? Missoula, Montana, University of Montana. All similar. What is it?
I don't know. Missoula? How's it spelled?
Missoula? It's probably Missoula.
How do you spell it?
I think you're right. Missoula, Missoula. Missoula. We'll go Missoula.
I think that's
Missoula, Montana. All populations ranging from 210,000 to roughly 245,000. Remember, the Charlottesville MSA, I believe, doesn't include Orange County. So the population of Central Virginia is roughly 30,000, but the MSA for HUD is about 245 and change. A lot we're going to unpack on today's program, ladies and gentlemen, including this question. Entrepreneurs, viewers, and listeners of all shapes and sizes. People often walk through the swinging doors of our headquarters on Market Street. Can we go to the Market Street cam so we can show the swinging doors? I have meetings Monday through Friday, heck, sometimes Monday through Saturday, with business owners at all levels of the success spectrum. You showing the doors there? They walk through this glass storefront. We have folks in the startup space that want to bring ideas to market, like climbing gyms and bouldering gyms. We have entrepreneurs that come to us that want to bring pickleball facilities, indoor pickleball to market. We have entrepreneurs that come through those doors and want to highlight the omni-experiential nature of indoor entertainment venues, like Coco's, which is coming in the old Big Lot space. We have clients on our roster that are clocking $15 million a year in top-line revenue. Some doing more than that have operations that employ, a couple hundred people that come through those doors and say, I want to terminate my competition. I want more market share. I want to go from 15 million to 20 million over this 36-month period of time. I want to put you on retainer to help you do that. This is what we do. It's not the podcasting network. That's what we do. So as we're brainstorming the good, the bad, and the ugly of business from the startup stage, the infancy stage, to what I would say is a pretty healthy, mid-cap, if someone do $15, $20 million, I'd say that's a pretty healthy business. I'm not saying this is, publicly traded, but for Central Virginia, a privately owned business, family-owned business in a lot of regards, that's flirting with $20 million a year is a good chunk of money. Top-line revenue. And they come to us and say, we want to grow. Over 25 years of doing this, 17 years on the 29th of May as the owner of my own firm. God, 17 years of self-employed. We've become the confessional of business in the greater Charlottesville and Central Virginia market. I'm going to ask you this question, viewer and listener. Is there an opportunity for an entrepreneur to launch a new business? And that new business in the greater Charlottesville area would be a business specifically tied to parade execution. You heard me correctly. An entrepreneur that gets the infrastructure in play, has the connections with Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville, and their whole business model is hosting and executing parades. You can start in the first quarter with New Year's Eve, New Year's Day parade. You can have a St. Patty's Day parade, which is in March. Right, Judah? I mean, just go to the calendar. Big calendar events each year. New Year's Day parade, right? How about a Martin Luther King Day parade, a Valentine's Day parade, an Easter parade, a St. Patty's Day parade, a Memorial Day parade, a 4th of July parade, a Labor Day parade, some kind of Halloween parade, Thanksgiving parade, Christmas parade. You can legitimately create a parade, 10 parades a month. 10 parades a year, excuse me, I misspoke. 10 parades a year. 10 parades a year. I mean, we're starving for community events. Mm-hmm. And we've attributed the loss of parades and community interaction, we've attributed it to a decline or a diminishment in volunteerism. That's what we've attributed to the Dogwood Parade being no more, to the 4th of July fireworks being no more, to the First Night Virginia event on the downtown mall being no more. We've attributed it to a decline in volunteerism, among other things, but that's been the primary driver. What if you did not rely on volunteerism to execute the parade? Instead, you relied on team members that were paid to execute it. That solves the volunteerism conundrum. Yeah. Then you get sponsors from the community. You go to the city council and to Albemarle County's Board of Supervisors and you say, hey, we don't have a Dogwood Parade. We don't have the 4th of July fireworks. We don't have First Night Virginia. The community's begging for this. Will you give us $5 or $10K to help execute it? And you find other profit centers, whether it's food and beverage, sponsorship, a gate entry, VIP sitting, and you monetize the concept. That, guys, is a business. That is a business. I want to talk about that on today's program. There's a lot I want to cover. I promised Jim Hinchley today that I would talk about this. It did not make the headline rundown, but I'm a man of my word here. He sent me this text message. U.S. Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, Democrats from Virginia, announced today in a letter sent to the White House that they recommend candidates for the U.S. Attorney vacancies in the Eastern District of Virginia and the Western District of Virginia. The senators recommended Christopher Todd Gilbert. The senators recommended Christopher Todd Gilbert, the minority leader in the Virginia House of Delegates, and Robert Tracy, Senior Assistant Attorney General and Section Chief for Major Crimes and Emerging Threats in the Office of Virginia, of the Virginia Attorney General. This article or this press release, I will now copy and paste, and I appreciate you putting this on my radar, Mr. Hinchley. Tremendous respect for you, sir, as you know. U.S. Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine sent a letter to the White House recommending candidates for the U.S. Attorney vacancies in the Eastern District of Virginia and the Western District of Virginia. In their letter, the senators recommended Michael Gill, who's an assistant general counsel and director of investigations for Huntington Ingalls Industry, and Eric Siebert, Eastern District of Virginia interim United States attorney for the EDVA position. The senators recommended Christopher Todd, the minority leader in the Virginia House of Delegates, and Robert Tracy for the Western District, the WDVA position. I'll share that link and put it in the comment section of my page. Comment section of my personal Facebook page if you would like to learn more. I'm putting it in there right now. Judah Wickower, I'd like to highlight Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. 60 consecutive years of being in business. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, guys, on East High Street and online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion are doing things the honest way, the right way. 3-generation family-strong business. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, support the businesses that are doing things the right way. John Vermillion, a Chamber of Commerce Small Business Person of the Year. A-plus people, the Vermillions. Judah Wickower on a 2-shot. First the studio cam, so they can see the studio, the digs. And then Judah Wickower, who was speaking of St. Patty's Day parade, clad in leprechaun garb today, looking quite sharp, I should say. The green undershirt, the green button-down, and the green V-neck vest for Judah Wickower. You look sharp. I think the attire is very much on point. You put a little thought into what you were wearing today.
I always put a little thought into whatever I'm wearing.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
Look great. The cat fight continues.
Yeah. It's like a tennis match.
Oh, with the ball being volleyed and rallied from one side of the court to the other.
Yeah.
The serve was the anonymous 128 with the initial doctors.
Yeah.
The responsive serve, the reply to serve, the rally to the serve, the return of serve is the right nomenclature. Betsy Nugent would say, Jerry, it's return of serve. The return of serve was Bill Crutchfield and his initial response back in the...
Was he the first one
I
to
think
respond?
He was the first.
Wow.
Crutchfield's like, these guys are bogus, the anonymous 128. Then the anonymous 128 took the return of serve and slammed it back to Crutchfield's side. And it was slammed back to Crutchfield's side. That's when Jim Ryan called the anonymous 128 crybabies.
Disaffected.
Malcontents that are in every organization. Bitter teenagers that didn't get the invitation to prom is basically what Jim Ryan called them. Then the anonymous 128 get on the offense and they basically are rancored by Jim Ryan's malcontent commentary, as they should be. What the hell are you doing, Jim Ryan, penning that letter? It makes you look terrible, Jim.
Yeah.
They get on the defense and reply to Ryan. Then after they get on the fence and reply to Ryan, then the Board of Visitors is like, okay, we need to get a third-party law firm to do an investigation. Third-party law firm does an investigation. That leads to Craig Kent's resignation, the highest paid employee at the University of Virginia who got a year-over-year $500,000 raise. Craig Kent's surprising resignation and an after-hours Board of Visitors meeting, clandestine meeting, keeps the momentum going. Then a board member from the health system chooses to resign because of how Craig Kent was treated. Mm-hmm. We have former board members and rectors offering authored letters on the record with their name on it. They say that this movement is backed by greed, that physicians want the old boys club where they just have to log minimal hours and get paid high dollars by UPG. And they said Craig Kent was trying to dismantle UPG, and that's why he calls the rank and file or the upper management to be angry.
I think they also implied that UPG was creating like double the paperwork.
It's a terrible look. And now UPG writes a letter to the Daily Progress. Set the stage of what happened today in the Daily Progress.
UPG is saying...
University Physicians Group.
Yep. University of Virginia Physicians Group. They are supportive of the investigation into this whole thing. They make note that the investigators did not communicate with University of Virginia Physicians Group. They also are asking for an end to speculation because they want the actual information. And I think they want to see the report as much as everybody else does. They push back against the conclusion that the physicians wrote this letter from a place of greed. They say that nobody is being overpaid. They make note of the fact that the amount that people are getting paid is in line with benchmarks across the industry, standards in the industry. They are convinced that the 128 acted from a real place of concern. And they're also claiming that that UPG, University of Virginia Physicians Group, has been maligned. They say that they act as stewards of resources and not, as suggested, to maximize physician incomes. All very interesting stuff, and I can't wait for the pushback letter that's probably going to come next week. I'm going to offer some very, very low-key perspective here. It's just some advice, some free pro bono counsel. Just leave it alone. I mean, who are you talking to,
just
though?
Leave. I'm both sides. Both sides are digging their own graves. I hope everyone on both sides hears this. I know they watch it. You continue to dig your own grave by continuing this childish catfight. It makes both sides look like they're going through a teenage breakup with text messaging and commentary in the cafeteria and Snapchatting and TikToking back and forth. The difference is you guys are grown-ass men and women and professionals. It is humiliating. It's doing a disservice to the health system. It's doing a disservice to the brand. It's eroding trust at exponential levels. And I'm telling you, because we're in this space, it is way more difficult to build the trust back. It's extremely easy to erode and destroy the trust. But recreating or rebuilding the trust, once it's been crashed and eroded, that's an extremely difficult process. It's doing no one justice. And the only winner in this entire thing, ladies and gentlemen, the only winner throughout this entire catfight is the Daily Progress. Because they continue to receive, ladies and gentlemen, free content for their meager, struggling, and nearly dinosaur-esque news model. If you're the Progress and you're the editor and you open your inbox and see, oh my God, I got another letter to the editor from, who was it from this time? It was from...
You want the names of the actual people?
Yeah, give me who it was signed by this time.
Jeff Burton, Dr. J. Scott Just, and Dr. James Larner.
Reynolds Hutchison, the editor of the Daily Progress, received an email, and in this email, Jeff Burton, the chair of the University Physicians Group board, Dr. J. Scott Trust, the CEO, and Dr. James Larner, the president, gave him a letter that they authored and said, publish this. He can run it as his front page news story. He can utilize it to drive paywall subscriptions, and he doesn't have to pay any employee to create the content. This is the gold of a meager and dinosaured newspaper, free content. And to put the cherry on top before I move to the next topic, this is the cherry on top for the next topic. This is me closing this first segment. University Physicians Group, Jim Ryan's cabinet, Anonymous 128, Board of Visitors. Create a treaty, some kind of treaty, where you decide to stop the catfight. Because as you continue to percolate news cycles with this storyline, it is going to take you 3 to 4x the time to rebuild the trust that you've spent destroying it. And that's branding and public relations 101. You learn that at the McIntyre School of Commerce somewhere between first and second semester of your second year on grounds. If you want an interesting read, the headline, setting them to the progress, is UVA Physicians Group, UVA Health needs to heal, and unsolicited conjecture won't help. The headline is, the irony in the headline is, unsolicited conjecture won't help. Yet they're providing the unsolicited conjecture, the Physicians Group.
What are they conjecturing about?
The whole first part of the letter was like, we need to stop talking about this. We need to start building trust. The unsolicited conjecture is hurting. And then they said, that said, given the assertions, we need to offer some conjecture here. That's like, I don't mean to insult you, but I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I don't want to see any. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you're really overweight, and that dress doesn't fit you that well. I don't want you to be upset, but that button-down shirt and that tie makes your neck look fat. I don't want to hurt your feelings. But when you went to the hairdresser and they colored your hair, they chose the wrong tint. That's what this is. You disagree?
Yeah.
You disagree?
I mean, I don't see a whole lot of conjecture in here.
Judah, the entire premise of the letter was the Anonymous 128. Their fight, their whistleblowing, is not motivated by greed. That's conjecture. The other side is saying it's motivated by greed. They're just basing all this on opinion. It's based on opinion. You know what we need? It's time for the university to just release the third-party lawyer report.
That's what they're saying.
Release the effing report, Jim Ryan. Release the report.
I mean,
and then
okay,
let's move on.
Here's a pushback against the conjecture about the 128. They say straight out, without knowing the identity, productivity, or compensation of the 128 physicians who signed the letter, we do not understand how anyone could conclude greed was a motivating factor, nor did the letter mention compensation as a concern. I feel like they've laid out a fairly straightforward letter here, without a whole lot of conjecture. But that's just my take on it.
You want to offer any more before we go on?
No.
I don't want to put up the data from the comparing of the university towns. I don't want to put that graph on screen. I do want to segue into it. I think I've spoken my piece, and my piece has been consistent all along. Stop percolating the news cycle with the cat fight. Stop. And this is coming from somebody that wants the news cycle to be percolated with the cat fight, because I can talk about it on this show. Giving them free advice. All right, the next topic is the comparison and contrast, comparing and contrasting the area median income. As you go on a one-shot, then I'll weave you in on a two-shot here. Comparing university towns to Charlottesville. We talked earlier this week, we got a nudge from someone I have a lot of respect for, the guy who's posting impressive gains in the weight room and deep throat. This guy is squatting and bench pressing at impressive clips in the weight room. He nudged me earlier this week via direct message and said, you know what? Area median incomes are out. This is a great talking point for the show. Just like Jim Hinchley this morning with a text message said, this is a good talking point. What's happening with these suggestions from Warner and Kane, maybe your viewers and listeners would like to hear. Deep Throat said, maybe your viewers and listeners would like to hear about AMI. We want this. We want you guys to contribute content. I don't profess to know everything about it. I want to learn. And what better way to learn than we use the power of numbers and crowdsourcing to learn?
Yeah.
Okay, I think in a lot of ways that's what 2025 or future news is going to look like. I think future news is going to be, what did you call it? You and I had a great conversation. Let's weave you in on a two-shot. I thought a lot about what you were saying this morning on the think tank. I was thinking about you on the think tank this morning. And I thought your commentary yesterday of what the show has become was very good. Do you remember what you said? Please don't say I don't remember.
Was it yesterday?
Yes, the water cooler conversation we were having, and you said we're not so much a water cooler.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about actually on the show. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I said that we're more like a hub. Yeah. We're not a water cooler because it's not like all these people are meeting together. Some of our wonderful viewers are commenting on Facebook. Some are commenting on Twitter. Some are commenting on YouTube, and we're kind of the hub for that. We bring topics that are interesting to us and hopefully are germane to what's going on in Charlottesville, because not everything that we talk about is specifically Charlottesville-centric. And thankfully, we have an amazing, viewership that corrects us, helps inform us on topics that we're not 100% up to speed on, and essentially, like crowdsources, I don't want to say truth, but it's not like we're out here, putting some propaganda on the air without any pushback. And we have some great pushback from our viewership when we get things wrong.
Yeah. A good example of that was 2 Fridays ago. Two Fridays ago, on one of our other programs, there was some data that was presented incorrectly. And I heard from others, viewers and listeners, that data was not right. And I went back and looked at the replay and did some reconnaissance. And the viewers and listeners were correct. One of the things I've realized with doing this camera, microphone, commentary is we're not right 100% of the time. We're human beings.
Oh, yeah.
And you holding us accountable and correcting us is what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And hub instead of water cooler may be a best description. I think that's what the future of news could be, where you have one or two or a handful or a larger group of influencers or pace setters that keep the cycle of news going forward. And then you have peripheral group contributing to those influencers or pace setters. And then before you know it, you have what is a hub of content. I know, however, that the future of news is not 15 and 30-second or 60-second sound bites or clips in a 22-minute cast of a 30-minute window. And I know the future of news is not going to be behind a $42 a month paywall, Daily Progress, or a $70 plus a month paywall, Richmond Times-Dispatch. That's not going to be the future. And I'm not even convinced that the future of news is going to be coming in through an antenna on a radio frequency. I don't think that's going to be the future. I think what it is, it's going to be what we saw in a lot of ways with this presidential election, where Trump sits down with Rogan for 3 hours in a no-holds-bar interview. Harris afraid to do it because what's Harris going to really look like in a 3-hour unscripted window? Trump, we already know what he's going to look like in a 3-hour unscripted window. Love him or hate him, he is who he is. Harris, you don't know who she is, and that's what a 3-hour unscripted window would have revealed, right? Sitting down with the Barstool Sports guys, something he did. Trump. That's going to be the future of where we're going to go. And I think in some ways we're doing that. Now, with the area median income, we want to compare and contrast Charlottesville to like-minded markets. And earlier this week, I compared and contrasted Charlottesville's area median income to Chapel Hill and Durham, the Chapel Hill and Durham MSA. Now, after giving it some more thought, I'm not sure it was the best comparison because the Chapel Hill and Durham MSA is larger in population, right? It's a larger in population MSA, so it's not an identical comparison. The Burlington, South Burlington, Vermont comparison with the University of Vermont is a very good comparison. Where population, according to the MSAs, of nearly identical. I mean, we're talking like 12 or 14,000, 15,000 person difference here in population. And if you look at the AMI calculator, Burlington's median family income is $130,400. Is there a pedestrian mall in Burlington? Is that one of the areas that has... Okay, I'm getting off track here. We don't have to look at that. Burlington's area median family income is $130,400. $130,400, ladies and gentlemen. Charlottesville's MSA, it's no big deal, the pedestrian mall look up. Charlottesville's is 120. I would rather you contribute to the conversation than look that up.
Okay.
Charlottesville's is 125,800. So you're looking at a difference of, what, less than $5,000 in a population that's virtually the same? This is an excellent benchmark for Charlottesville. It's an excellent benchmark to try to figure out where Charlottesville's going to go, where Charlottesville could be, what Charlottesville's struggling to become, what Charlottesville could be business-wise, housing-wise, real estate-wise. Deep Throat adds a little context. Burlington is a very bang-on cop for Charlottesville. Slightly higher AMI, slightly higher median home price. So what I'm going to do on the show, and what I'd like your help with. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I don't know all the answers. I want to learn and be challenged. There's nothing I would like, and he confirms, yes, it has even a pedestrian mall.
It does.
It even has a pedestrian mall.
Church Street.
Church Street, it's called?
Church Street Marketplace.
Okay. I would bet you the politics of Burlington are very similar to the politics of Charlottesville, too. How much you want to bet that Burlington's politics are liberal, very left-leaning, activist-leaning, socialist-leaning?
I mean, that sounds about right for Vermont, but
I don't know.
that's just from hearsay. I don't actually know Vermont either.
This is what I'd like to do on the show. And what I want you to do is some homework over the weekend. You rarely, if ever, have to work outside of work hours. Rarely, if ever. And this isn't even work. When you're on the think tank or you're scrolling, doom scrolling on your phone, doom scroll instead of, what are you doom scrolling on your phone? Is it crossword puzzles that you're doing? What are you doom scrolling?
No, crossword puzzles.
Are you doom scrolling Reddit? What are you doom scrolling when you're doing on your phone?
Sometimes Reddit.
What else are you doom scrolling?
I don't know. It depends. Wherever my insane introverted mind takes me.
Okay, I every time I'm doom scrolling, I find that I'm like doom scrolling, current events and reading. It's sadly Wall Street Journal, CNBC, doom scrolling, certain influencers on Twitter that I follow, getting deep in their content. Housing is something that I'm doom scrolling. Started doom scrolling Pokemon economics, economics, because my kid's getting into it, and I see an opportunity business with Pokemon. It's just terrible to say, and I see how I can help my son in ways that I didn't realize I could help him this soon in his life cycle. He's 7.
Can you maybe convince him to like enjoy himself?
He is enjoying himself. See, like that's just the difference between you and I. The difference between you and I is like I enjoy the business side, the capitalism side, the data side, the opportunity side. I enjoy seeing opportunity and pursuing opportunity. I enjoy it. It's a passion. I'm seeing this with him without me having to push him to that.
That's fair.
We play the game, we watch the content, but he's saying he's learning business from me not even showing it to him. And I want to further strengthen our bond because I love our 2 boys dearly. I would like on the show for us to do a deep dive on Burlington, Vermont, and Charlottesville, Virginia. Because I think there's an opportunity for us as Charlottesvillians and Central Virginians, because whether you want to admit this or not, Central Virginia, Albemarle County, Orange County, Louisa, Nelson, Fluvanna, Orange, Greene, you guys go as Charlottesville goes. You may not want to admit that, but you go as Charlottesville goes, and those are just facts. I think there's an opportunity in content for the show for us to compare and contrast Burlington and Charlottesville together. So as we learn about Burlington, we could learn about ourselves. Like as I've learned about, here's I'm getting deep here, okay? My dad is soon to be 75. 75 this month. 75 on tax day. The irony of a CPA and accountant born on tax day. 75 on tax day. Not in the best of health. Sharpest mind ever. Sharp as a tack. Still trading stocks and equities for the family on a daily basis and outperforming the market. Now, let's cut to the chase. Carnage on Wall Street is an understatement. We're at the depths of peak COVID right now, worse than the depths of peak COVID right now, as Trump plays a game of chicken with the entire world. And this game of chicken could go one of 2 ways: leverage to get what he wants for what's best for UVA, what's best for the United States, jobs, more opportunity stateside, or the game of chicken could implode before our eyes. Global recession. JP Morgan on record this morning, the opportunity or the chance for recession now, they've upticked to 60%, 60, their recession predictor is at a 60% clip right now. That's this morning it came out. With my father, 75 years old, I'm seeing kind of the back end, the final chapters. And the sad saying is once a man, twice a child. And in this scenario, it's more naps during the day. Naps every day.
Nothing wrong with that.
Naps every day. Struggling to walk. Struggling to keep your balance. Like falling.
Yeah.
Struggling to keep your balance. Same thing that you would see with like a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old, 2-year-old. Staggering kind of like a drunken sailor as you're trying to figure out your balance. Right. Everyone's seen that with the 1 or 2-year-old. Kind of waddle like a drunken sailor. Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing that with him. So I'm kind of getting in the mind or trying to spend some time understanding. And what I've learned from spending this time or understanding, asking questions, getting nostalgic, is I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about myself. And I think it's up to a son or a daughter, especially sons or daughters that are parents, to learn from their parents. And I take the good, the bad, and the ugly from my parents and bring that into rearing our children. Did you know I've had one cavity in my entire life?
Wow.
And I was in the 5th grade when I got this cavity. And this was as my family was building I talk about this on the show all the time, a CPA and bookkeeping practice. My brother and I are children of entrepreneurs. My dad was the CPA. My mom was the front of the house, the admin. She greeted the clients and did a lot of the administrative work.
The story.
Okay. I got a cavity. And this was at a time when they were growing their practice. So we knew that every dollar was being invested into the business. My dad wanted to teach me a lesson of getting a cavity. Okay? This is a true story. That lesson of getting the cavity was, you're going to have this cavity filled without Novocaine, without any painkiller of any kind. Conversation, I'm in 5th grade, had with the dentist, Dr. Morris. We're going to fill this cavity without Novocaine. Have you ever had a cavity filled without Novocaine or any painkiller of any kind? It is probably the most intense pain I've ever felt. And you're in 5th grade when you're 12 years old when you're having this done.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Now, he will say, have you ever had a cavity since then? And my response is no. I've been extremely diligent of taking care of my teeth, flossing and brushing, No, I've not. And then he said, maybe that was a lesson that was worth learning. And I would say,
tell yourself what you
when
want.
You're 12 years old and you're having a cavity filled without Novocaine, that is on the cusp of, and you fill in the blank. I won't fill in the blank. The viewer and listener can fill in the blank. That is on the cusp of whatever. Okay? So that's something that I will never take myself and apply it to raising or rearing my children, nor would my wife ever allow that to happen.
Thank goodness.
But my point with this story is I'm learning now in the final chapters of Once a Man, Twice a Child, of a man who has been instrumental in shaping me as a business person and as a father. I'm learning a lot about myself. And I think Charlottesville can learn a lot of itself from Burlington. Like, to answer our question, Burlington, Deep Throat says, incredibly liberal, more than here. They have quite loose zoning, and their homes are priced in line with ours. So we should do a deep dive on Burlington and how it compares and contrasts to CVille. University town, University of Vermont, populations damn near close to identical, Judah. Populations damn near close to identical. Area median incomes damn near close to identical. Housing similar, zoning similar, politics similar. Very interesting topic for the show, I think. All right. A couple of other items that I want to get out of the notebook here. What's the next headline, if you can put that on screen, J-Dubs?
DC real estate?
Yeah.
Carnage.
I talked about this in February. It's funny, when you talk real estate on the show, the folks that make their living in real estate want to push back on any commentary that is headwind commentary. And I understand that they want to push back because they want to preserve livelihood. I get it. But in February, it might have been late January, early February, I'm starting seeing signs with people that I'm following about the listings becoming more significant in DC, about the headwinds with Doge and Musk and government cuts, layoffs, right? Buyouts, layoffs, early retirements, how it could impact DC housing. And I tried to make a correlation because my markets, Charlottesville and Central Virginia, this is where we're growing our business to Charlottesville. My crystal ball said, even if we get a small percentage, not half, not a third, not 25%, any percentage at all coming to Charlottesville, selling their home in DC where they have significant equity, it coming down here, it was going to have an impact on the Charlottesville ecosystem. That was my entire thesis. Any percentage is going to have an impact on a throttled inventory environment. That's all I said. And it was shocking to me, mortgage folks that were realtors, how they pushed back on that prediction. Now you look at the data that you can find through the Bright MLS, Judah, and weekly active listings for the week ending March 30th, 2025. Weekly active listings compared to the same week in 2024. Active listings, 29% more. 29% more, ladies and gentlemen, in this MLS service area. 29%. Now, the conversation could include this commentary. Well, they're also saying you need to return to office to work. And how many people in the Charlottesville area are working for DC organizations while living in CVille that may now have to return to office to work?
Or say, screw it, I'm staying here.
Or will they make the commute? I know multiple friends who are making the commute. They're not going to go back to the rat race that's DC, and they're just going to commute up there and commute back down, maybe even consider getting an apartment. That would be a brutal effing commute. A brutal effing commute.
Especially if you're actually doing it every day. Good Lord.
Well, that's why some of them are saying that maybe we just get like a one-bedroom apartment or studio apartment, but that won't be cheap either. My point is this before I get to the next topic. Week over week, March 30th, 2025, versus the same time period in 2024, we have 29% more listings compared to a year ago. This will impact Charlottesville area real estate. And if you don't follow that trend, you're not reading the tea leaves correctly. Next headline, Judah Wickhauer, you're rotating lower thirds, my friend. What do you got?
Next up, most expensive real estate in Albemarle County.
I haven't gotten to this yet. I do want to get to this now. I would encourage everyone to use the Realtor app. That's the one I use. You can use the search function, Albemarle County. Just type in Albemarle County, VA, into your search function. What do you think the most expensive piece of real estate is in Albemarle County right now, Judah? What price point?
I don't really have much to go on with this. Were you asking me about this the other day? If I think that the highest price is above $30, $40, $50 million?
What do you think the number is?
I honestly don't know. $50 million.
It's a great guess. $52,600,000.
Wow.
And it's the Mount Ida Reserve property. Mount Ida Reserve. 2,800 acres, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Multiple structures on this. $52,600, ladies and gentlemen. This has been on the market for an eternity.
You mean
an eternity.
52 million?
52 million plus. Initially came on the market, guys, in 2023. Been percolating on the market for a time before that. $52 million plus for the Mount Ida Reserve property and the 2,784 acres that accompany it. That is, to say that's not an estate. That's a region. That is an area. Here's some of the copy as Daniel Hyder of Sotheby's International has the listing. This is an out-of-market broker. He says, Mount Ida Reserve is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity located just outside the vibrant city of Charlottesville, only minutes from Trump Winery, Albemarle Estate, and the University of Virginia. Then he highlights all the other vineyards that are in the area. He highlights the privately owned 45-acre lake with pristine beaches, 15 minutes of paved roads, 25 miles of board fencing, 25 springs, 5 diesel backup generators, 150 by right parcels, 150. There was a time, and I remember my parents were looking at this post-housing crash. My dad always had an eye for a deal, And during the housing crash, he came up here and said, look, this is a great time for us to buy real estate in the Charlottesville area. He went to UVA. Mm-hmm. And we were driving through Turkey Run. And Turkey Run was the development project that the guy that owns this land made his money in. The guy who owns this land made his money in cell phone towers. And he created this neighborhood, Turkey Run. They were like McMansions with like 25-acre parcels. And Turkey Run, as its early stage development was kind of coming to fruition, you could basically buy a little estate, 25 acres with a brick Georgian on it for, $1 million, in some cases under $1 million, some of the least desirable lots, some cases over $1 million. Now, the challenge that you had with Turkey Run is you weren't close to a lot of stuff. Cell phone coverage was limited. You didn't really have internet. Your drive to the closest grocery store was not close. The school district was not the best.
Wow.
They did not catch a lot of momentum, and they still have struggled to gain momentum some 17 years later. He's smart not to have bought that. All right, next headline. What do you got, Judah Wiccara?
Next up is they're a for-profit business in hosting parades.
Okay, do you disagree with me? If someone says, look, the volunteerism is down, parades aren't happening, why don't I create an LLC? Why don't I create a single-member S-Corp LLC? And why don't I launch a business around hosting and executing parades and do 8 to 10 of them a year? You can charge sponsorship and branding, VIP seating. You can make like a host, like if
How
you want to get.
How would you do VIP seating?
The best spots that are saved and reserved for people that want the best spots of seating.
I had the best spot in Savannah, Georgia for the St. Patrick's Day parade.
You just saved the best spot.
No, I didn't have to move from my
In
my
this
place.
scenario, in the Charlottesville scenario, you monetize the best spots.
Okay.
Do you think that there's a business model in parades?
I mean, I don't know that there's a business model that's going to make anyone rich. But I mean, parades have been a part of.
Is a coffee shop going to make somebody rich? Is a sandwich shop going to make somebody rich? Is a kids' clothing retail store going to make somebody rich? Is a bike shop going to make somebody rich? Is a glasses store? I mean, there's plenty of people that have launching businesses around here that you can say are, you can make a living. You're not going to get rich on.
Cool.
Right?
Sure.
I see someone, you do this, you do JVs with Albemarle in the city, you get some grant money. You start off with the big few, first night, St. Patty's Day, 4th of July, something in the fall. And you say, we want to host parades and bring community spirit back to Charlottesville and Albemarle. And see if you can make a go at it. Eventually, you can scale up to 10 a year. Maybe there's an opportunity to make 10 to 15,000 per parade once you're all said and done. You go after 5 platinum sponsors that have branding placement on every parade. Those branding sponsors, maybe you're paying 25 or 30K for the entire calendar year. That 25 or 30K times 5, 6 platinum sponsors covers most of your base costs. You then get some grant funding from Albemarle and the city of Charlottesville over a calendar year. Maybe that's 25K from Albemarle, 25K from Charlottesville. Yeah, obviously you're going to have very high overhead tied to insurance. You're going to have to rent some spacing probably. I don't know what Charlottesville and Albemarle would do. Paul Byers tried to figure this out with the Tom Tom Festival in the downtown mall. Is there a business model and for-profit parade execution? I think there's an opportunity there because it's the experiential model. It's not selling something that can be cannibalized by the internet. You're selling an experience. And from what I gather, my pulse of the street says we want community engagement, but it's not happening right now. And do you solve the decline in volunteerism by saying it's not going to be a model that's tied to volunteerism? It's going to be tied to a model of pay to work here. You work here, you get paid. And if you want to participate in the parade, you do the freemium model. Free to attend, but if you want the add-ons, it's a premium, it's pay. Freemium. I think there's a business model there. It's not going to be us that executes it, but we will certainly help you flush it out. And there's some business owner that's watching this program or some aspiring entrepreneur that's watching this program that has their head and their mind racing right now with upside and opportunity. We'll happily help you flush that out, folks. All right, last topics on the show. Is it basketball? Is it McKneely? Oh, we got to highlight Bert Ellis is coming on the program. We have Bert Ellis on the show on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bert Ellis, ladies and gentlemen, on the show on Wednesday.
It's going to be fun.
The fired Board of Visitors member, Bert Ellis, will be on the show on Wednesday. Make sure that lower third's on screen.
He is, now that he's off the board, he can, I don't know that he held back before, but.
A tell-all interview, Bert Ellis, about the behind the scenes of the most powerful and influential board at the University of Virginia and why he got fired by Governor Glenn Youngkin. Bert Ellis on the I Love CVille show on Wednesday. Put it on your calendar now. And I'll close with the basketball news. Isaac McKneely has committed to Louisville, and Andrew Rohde has committed to Wisconsin. 4 Wahoos so far have signed with other teams. Blake Buchanan, Iowa State, Day-Day Ames, Cal Berkeley, and now Isaac McKneely, Louisville, a tough pill to swallow, seeing Louisville and Isaac McKneely next year when he's wearing Cardinal red and not UVA orange and blue. But I wish Isaac McKneely nothing but the best of luck, as he certainly chased a payday and what was best for him. Judah Wickower was fantastic all week long. Fantastic all week long. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us on the I Love CVille show. So long, everybody.